Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Thank you for joining us, everyone. I am happy that you're here because we have a great show planned for you where we have, well, the one, the only Mr. Ralph Bond. He is the recently newly dubbed Science and Tech Trends Correspondent because, you know, if you've been paying attention to the last couple of months that Ralph has been on, well, you know, actually, entire time Ralph has been on, you know, he has a knack for finding interesting stories, not just in the field of tech, which, you know, hey, we do every single day, but something that is almost unique to Ralph, and that is he really does enjoy, you know, science and medicine and things like that. So, you know, he is our newly dubbed Science and Tech Trends Correspondent, and of course, formerly with Autodesk. And hey, you know, you can find his full write-up right there at Computer America or at his website. But before we get to Ralph, a couple of things, including computeramerica.com. That's where you'll find everything and anything for today's show. Be that, oh, I don't know, we have a contest today that's brought to you by Logitech. You can check that out, and we will be announcing a winner later on in the program today. Also, be sure to check out, the live video stream where you can watch the video, where you can watch Computer America, not just listen. And not necessary, but, you know, on shows such as today, it'll be helpful because we'll be showing the articles and the videos and things like that on the video portion. So just another way to experience. And then the last thing is, of course, the show notes. You know, I just mentioned those. You can find them in their entirety. Ralph puts a lot of work into them. And yeah, you know, if you're busy, if you're driving, if you can't get to the computer right now, don't worry. We have it and we put it right up there for you. So, with all of that being said, I think we're just going to pull them in because, like every time, part of me still thinks that Ralph is still on like the 2-hour Computer America schedule. So we never get to everything, but that's okay. It means that there's, you know, just more for you to explore. And our hour is cram-packed full of stories. So once again, welcoming on Ralph Bond, Computer Science and Tech Trends Correspondent. Ralph, how you doing?
Happy New Year. I know we're deep into January, but this is the first time I get to say it, and I hope everybody has a wonderful 2018.
Right. No. Absolutely. I mean, 2018 off with a bang, and a lot of news happening and a lot of tech news happening. And yeah, I mean, same to you. I hope you had a great holiday and, you know, you enjoyed yourself, you know, during the season.
We did. It was great. It was really good. And I'm behind on going to some key movies, which I know is a big hobby with you too. I still haven't seen The Last Jedi, and I want to see that Greatest Showman movie too. But both my wife and I are behind the ball on those two.
You know, and I've never really wanted to go to the movies. It's Craig, and if I go with Craig. But I will say that there's this new service that I'm not sure if you've heard about. It's making the rounds. I've heard, you know, some bad reviews. I've heard some stellar reviews. It's a service called Movie Pass. Have you heard of it?
Yeah. I think, is that the one where you pay a kind of monthly fee and you get so many movie passes to go to or something like that?
Right. It's like $10 a month, if I'm not mistaken. And at participating theaters, you get to see one movie a day. So, you know, I mean, you know, for less than the cost of a movie ticket in some cases, you get to see as many movies as you want.
Yeah. I think it's a clever idea. I do remember seeing some news about that and thought, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, something I'm definitely going to explore because I think, and this year, from what I've heard of the lineup, there's going to be moments, especially during the summer, where there's going to be a big blockbuster like every 2 weeks. And so I think this is the year to really look into something like that. But no, movies are good, and I'll let you know when I finally get to see some. I've not seen those either. But
okay.
Yeah. But in the meantime, welcome back onto the show. And I think a good place to start would be with your show notes, which I need to pull up right here. But tell the folks about the show notes, and why don't we get started with story number one?
You got it. Of course, again, the show notes, folks, these are what I do is I go out, as Ben was mentioning, and I look for interesting stories that fit generally into science and technology trends. And of course, in the space of science and technology fusion, sometimes that's news about medical technology advancements, all kind of across the map. And I look for stories and I grab the essentials. Sometimes it's the entire feature, sometimes it's an extraction of a feature, put it together in the show notes. It gives you the links, it gives you the notes, and also fun, gives you links to sometimes these stories have videos associated with them as well. So be sure to get those show notes. And appropriate for January, start of the new year, is this first story, which I found on Yahoo Finance, and a feature written by Chris Niger, who's with the outfit called The Motley Fool. The Motley Fool is really a famous financial Wall Street stock tracking outfit that's been around for years, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, the story's called 15 Tech Trends to Watch in 2018. Now, we're not going to go through all 15. I took the first 5, and I really encourage you to use the link on the show notes to go and see the rest of the story. But with that said, let's just dive into these first 5. A little preface here from the author, though. He says technology trends are often difficult to nail down because, well, it's astonishingly hard to predict the future. But there are indicators from 2017 that point pretty strongly to what we can expect to see in the technology sector next year, meaning, of course, the current year, 2018. While many of us think of technology in a specific sense of the word, for example, smartphones, drones, etc., this tech trends list also includes more complex technology ideas like robotics. I love this next one. Laser transmitted internet, decentralized medical record systems, and other ideas a little bit off the well-worn tech path. If even half of these trends expand beyond where they're at right now, then we're in for a very exciting year. I couldn't agree more. Especially caught my eye was that laser transmitted internet. But anyway, first one, and again, we're just going to go through the first 5. And your homework assignment, listeners, is to go and look at the full article. But number 1, and I heard a lot about this, I'm sure you did too, Ben, of course, in the tail end of last calendar year, blockchains gain more widespread adoption. So the author explains blockchains are digital ledgers that can be shared and accessed by anyone to keep track of transactions between two parties. The term received lots of attention in 2017 because the cryptocurrency Bitcoin uses one decentralized blockchain to keep track of all of its transactions. But the tech can be used far beyond Bitcoin. That's the important point here. Goes on to say some people want blockchains to be used for things like medical records, where a person's patient data would be stored in a cryptographic database that accepts information from multiple different medical databases and software programs. The benefit here is that a patient's personal medical history could be kept in one safe, decentralized location and accessible to different doctors' offices and medical centers without those offices or their software having to coordinate with each other to update the records. Pretty interesting stuff there, and I think that is definitely a trend to watch.
Yeah, I mean that is like the blockchain. It's one of the other topics you're about to talk about. Bitcoin, kind of made it popular, but they're
Right.
saying that the blockchain is the underlying technology that's
Right.
probably more exciting than just a cryptocurrency. So to start off with that, I think he's absolutely right. And if anything, that just proves that this list is pretty darn good right off the start because the blockchain does have a lot of promise. So good prediction from him.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And the next one's equally interesting. We've all been hearing so much in the last year or so about artificial intelligence, right? And of course, artificial intelligence is sort of think of like a layers upon layers of a birthday cake or something. There's so many different flavors and layers of artificial intelligence, right? And so the number two thing Chris says we should be looking for in 2018 and beyond is narrow artificial intelligence expands. Narrow. Keep that in mind. He says there's a lot of talk about artificial intelligence these days, but the real benefit for companies in 2018 will be the adoption of algorithms and computer intelligence that are good at doing one very specific task, which is commonly referred to as narrow artificial intelligence. Narrow AI differs from general AI, and he says in a parenthetical here, think autonomous robots trying to take over the world, a little tongue in cheek. So narrow AI differs from general AI and allows computers to complete specific tasks like driving a car very well. Narrow AI is used in everything from language translation apps to content curation in Facebook's newsfeed. And in 2018, it's likely we'll see more companies use it to make their businesses more efficient and productive. So I really thought it was fun that Chris zeroed in on narrow artificial intelligence, single task.
Yeah, that's something that just makes perfect sense, because trying to build a
Hmm.
general AI, one that you see from the movies, trying to take over the world, that's a lot harder to do than just saying, AI, your job is to put these blocks in this order. And obviously, it's a very narrow use case, but it makes perfect sense. And as they get better and better, as they get faster and faster, I can't wait for it. Although one company, like they said that, right there, that Facebook uses it and a lot of
Hmm.
different companies use it. Personally, I really hope that the one company that really figures it out and figures it out quickly is YouTube. Their
Hmm.
artificial intelligence, when they curate or flag videos for inappropriate content, for should not be
Hmm.
monetized, shouldn't, or have offensive content, it's
Right.
it's so lackluster. And it has to be hard. I mean, was it thousands of hours of video are uploaded to YouTube every single day?
Oh my gosh,
No,
yeah.
no way you can have a person do it, but their AI is so behind the times. I'm looking forward to it. It's just it can't get here soon enough.
Yeah, that's a great example of a very big challenge that might hopefully be aided by applying this kind of AI technology. And boy, what a programming challenge that would
Yeah,
be,
it
right?
is.
Because it's everything from, I love the video I saw this week where the dog on YouTube, the dog pulls the little snow sled up to the top of the hill, jumps in the
I
snow
saw
sled,
that.
comes down and comes and repeats.
Yeah.
I'm That is one of the most amazing dog
Well,
videos.
and that's the thing, the AI, and speaking more to specific and why they're
Right.
talking about the benefits of, they said widening that, that narrow AI, was that,
Yeah.
in terms of YouTube videos, you could have a dog who snowboards, and that's one video, but then you could have a video uploaded from Brazil that uses a completely different language,
Yes.
and someone riding a bike, down a city street, and
Yeah.
your AI has to be able to tell everything that's going on
Yes.
and what is truly happening. And that's not easy. That's not easy.
No, that's quite daunting. It's pretty impressive to think
Right.
about that as a challenge. But anyway, going on with the story here, number three prediction Chris has for us is underground mass transportation gains more traction. And that's, oh, of course, very interesting topic. And let me get here we go. I'm trying to get my
Tra-
scroll. Here we go. Got the
traction
scrolling
funny,
working.
traction hilarious, because they're talking about the Boring Company and other like things like Hyperloop,
Yeah.
magnetic levitation. It's more of a thing, which doesn't really have
Yes.
traction. But no, joke. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. So he says here at the end of 2016, Tesla CEO Elon Musk announced that he was starting a new company that would attempt to help solve the well known traffic problems in Los Angeles, California. And last year, Musk's new boring, boring, as in boring through a wall or a ground or what have you, Musk's new boring company drilled a 500-foot long tunnel to test out a new underground system of moving passengers along at high speed tracks. I think most of us probably have heard inklings of what Elon Musk and his crew are up to. Goes on to say the company could potentially use two types of underground transportation. The first being a track system that could move more than a dozen passengers between cities at up to 150 miles per hour. The other is Musk's, of course, we all know this, Hyperloop concept, right? Which consists of pods that travel in a near vacuum tube at up to 700 miles per hour. Wow. The Boring Company is currently working on a 6.5-mile proof of concept tunnel in Los Angeles that, if it gets approval from the city, could eventually turn into an underground tunnel system in California. Imagine that. You know what? When you think about California, you think about the seismic earthquake challenges and issues. You'd have to have an underground system very, very well
Yeah.
engineered and very strong, right? I digress. So it goes on, it concludes this little module here. It says the company also began digging in Maryland toward the end of 2017 for another test track that could eventually become an underground transportation system between Washington, D.C. and New York City. The test tunnels wouldn't be done in 2018, but we're certain to hear much more about them in the coming year. So that's an interesting one.
Yeah, I can't wait for it. I mean, this is something that technology, I think people don't get as excited about because it's not something
Hmm.
you go down to the store and you buy.
Hmm. Right.
It's not consumer related, but it's especially with the Boring Company or Hyperloop, just really anything Tesla does, well, anything that Elon Musk does. I mean, he doesn't always deliver on time, and in a lot of cases,
Right.
he kind of under delivers too late. But what finally makes it to the market is something very unique, and I'm talking like his cars. They're
Hmm.
they definitely do excite. So yeah, I think this year is going to be the one where we see people actually riding in a Hyperloop. That'll be exciting, and we
Hmm.
see maybe the Boring Company actually digging. And this is the crazy part, digging underneath people's feet, like, under buildings, and
Yes.
hopefully not causing a disaster. That'd be fun.
Yeah, and of course, tunneling is terribly expensive. I mean, it's unbelievably expensive. But like most infrastructure, in some respects, you can say it's a one-time, one period gigantic bill, and then decades and decades of return on investment, so to speak. So it'll
Well,
be interesting to see how far that goes. But it's a fun technology trend to watch. So the next one, number 4,
sure.
really is I think very interesting. 5G wireless broadband launches, and it says AT&T and Verizon Communications began testing wireless 5G broadband in 2017, and in 2018 both companies say they'll launch limited commercial availability for the new service. Now, here's the thing and frankly, it was an education for me, to be honest. I'll admit this next sentence. It says, unlike 4G and LTE, 5G will mainly be used for home internet connections at first, allowing the telecoms to provide multi-gigabit speeds via wireless connections to homes. Ooh, for context, a 1 gigabit speeds are 15 times faster than the average home broadband connections in the United States. So, boy, did this get my attention. I just think this idea of a wireless, very high speed internet connection, get rid of the cable, get rid of this, get rid of that. I'm sure there's other things to be dealt with in terms of installation and so forth, but the possibility of wireless high speed internet is pretty darned exciting. At least it is to me.
Uh, kind of, and yeah, and this is something that I've definitely heard about. 5G. I hope this is the year it finally gets here. I've heard people such as Verizon or AT&T saying that they're testing in 2017, 2018. I don't think it's really going to get here until 2019, and then
Hmm.
that even belies the people actually having to buy devices that work with 5G. Just like new
Right,
cell phones.
right.
Um, Now, here's the thing: when it says it's going to be for homes, I
Yeah,
don't think it's going to be for computers. Sure, you can, and it can do certain things like that. But what it's primarily going to do, Ralph, you've seen the trend over the past couple of years, the Internet of Things, the idea that
yeah.
everything is connected to the internet.
Right,
Well, it's
right,
going to be, these devices, because I think there's still a latency issue to deal with. It's not going to be great for
right.
video buffering and things like that. But it's going to be good for, like, let's say a security camera, or your refrigerator that has to have internet connection, or
Yeah,
your wearable, like things like that. 5G is going to be amazing. It's going to take us into the next level, but that's good because where maybe you might have a dozen things connecting to the internet today, in the next year or 5 years, you're going to have hundreds of things. And I kid you,
Yeah.
I kid you not, hundreds of things. And that's where 5G really shines, is handling hundreds of things from each household and letting it all talk. And that's the exciting part, is that
Yeah.
this paves the way for better Internet of Things compatibility, which is cool.
Oh, yeah, I agree. And to finish out this little module, the author Chris says not only are the speeds faster, but 5G offers less congestion for home internet connections as well. And he says, think of how slow it gets when you and your neighbors are all streaming movies at the same time or same night, right? And has lower latency, to your point, Ben, you just made that point. It can send information very fast than traditional cable internet connections. Verizon will bring 5G to Sacramento, California, and 4 other yet to be announced markets in 2018. So, hey, we'll see. It's interesting.
Yeah, it won't take them long. Think about how fast 4G rolled out. Think about how fast LTE rolled out. Some places, right now, some places still don't have 4G, but that's to be expected because they're underpopulated. But it's going to happen pretty fast, and it's going to be very cool. So again, I'm liking this list, Ralph. You found a good article here.
Yeah, it is fun. And number 5, and again, listeners, remember, we're only talking about the first 5 of 15 very interesting trends that Chris from the Motley Fool put together in this article. So please go out and look at the rest of the article. It's really just terrific. But number 5, Bitcoin grabs more headlines. Gee, no surprise. Haven't we heard a lot about Bitcoin these days? So it says Bitcoin's massive price gains toward the end of 2017 got the attention of investors and the general public, and we're likely to see more of the same in 2018. And he explains Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency that allows its owners to make purchases safely and anonymously. And as of this writing, the value of one Bitcoin has jumped nearly 2,000% in 2017. Isn't that something? He says Bitcoin is now accepted by some retailers like Home Depot and Overstock.com, and it's likely that more retailers will jump on board next year, meaning 2018, of course, particularly if the value continues to rise. But Bitcoin is still highly volatile, and its online exchanges where you buy and sell Bitcoin are often the targets of hackers. All of this means we're probably just as likely to see Bitcoin's value slide in 2018 as we are to see its price rise to new heights. Either way, expect to hear much more about the cryptocurrency in 2018. So I think that's fun. And again, I stress folks, go out and look at that full article for all 15 of the trends that he outlines.
Absolutely. He seemed to really have a mind for this. Although I will say about the last one with Bitcoin, Ralph, I'm not sure if you caught it. I think it just happened Tuesday or maybe Wednesday.
Yeah, what's the latest?
Yeah, well, it was with Overstock, one of these big retailers that are accepting Bitcoin as currency. And well, a security researcher, I think they have it fixed, or yeah, they already fixed it. But essentially, Ralph, I don't know if you know the exact difference between Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. They're two different cryptocurrencies. They were one forked. They essentially forked off of each other. So it's a completely different one. But it boils down to Bitcoin was worth $15,000 a coin, whereas Bitcoin Cash was only worth $2,500 a coin. And what happened was Overstock was accepting Bitcoin Cash, which is again 1/6 of the price, as if it were Bitcoin. So people were getting things, like $100 worth of product by paying $12 through cryptocurrency.
Wow.
It's not against Overstock. Again, they fixed it. A security researcher found it. But what it shows is that as much as I think the general public doesn't understand about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, I don't think retailers do either. So all of this hype, all of this enthusiasm over Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, it just seems so largely misunderstood or just not even understood at all. It's scary. Yeah, and Rob, I don't know what you think about cryptocurrency, but it just seems scary that so many people are so excited when they don't really understand it.
Well, believe me, I'm the first to confess. Of course, I hear Bitcoin and I hear it on the news and it's in the air, so to speak. and conversations and so forth, but I clearly don't profess to have an expertise on it. And frankly, in a way, maybe this is a sign of my age group being 65-year-old guy. I'm kind of not really even thinking about it that much.
Yeah.
And then I've kind of have the old adage, the old rule of thumb: if it sounds too good to be true, then it probably is. And as Chris, the author of the article we're talking about, noted, it could precipitously fall just
Yeah.
as fast as it rises. And at my age and being a semi-retired guy now, I'm more into conservative, safer bets. So I'll just watch Bitcoins off on the sidelines and see what happens.
I feel the exact same. You know, I heard about Bitcoin years ago, and you know, I knew what it was, and you know, I could have thrown money into it, but even though since I first heard about it, it's risen, you know, from maybe like $10, $12 up to, you know, $18,000. Yeah, I could have made myself a multimillionaire, but at the same time, it's so weird that I'd rather not have anything to do with it and just watch it. You know,
It is weird.
It's much safer that way. You know.
Yeah,
So
I'll keep buying those Powerball and Mega Millions tickets and hoping.
yes, much safer investment. At least you know what you're getting into.
Yeah, at least you know
But
your 1 in 300 million chance of winning.
absolutely. But now, why don't we go ahead, Ralph, and go on to story number 2?
This is a fun one. This is a hoot and a half. This is an author I love his work, John Fingus, Fingas. Engadget is where he publishes his stories. Great guy. Anyway, the story here is: drone curbs overtime in Japan by blasting workers with music. What? You got to love that headline. Irresistible, right? And it says a lot about the Japanese culture. But it says here, Japan has a culture that encourages overtime out of a sense of loyalty. And that's a serious problem. It not only cuts into family and social life, it leads to entirely avoidable deaths. Taisei, that's Taisei, the company behind the main Tokyo 2020 Olympic Stadium, aims to fix that in an unusual way. Having a drone nag you, get this, having a drone nag you into going home. Now they're talking about a drone, of course, at the office, right? Its newly unveiled T-Friend, spelled F-R-E-N-D, T-Friend, is ostensibly a security drone that surveils the office with its camera. But its specialty is blasting workers with Old Lang Syne. You know, the right. You know,
Right.
we all know that. New Year's. Commonly used, that song, by the way, is commonly used in Japan to indicate its closing time. And if you're in a store or something, right? To force the workers out of the office. In theory, the music and the drone's own buzzing make it impossible to concentrate. The drone is autonomous and doesn't need GPS to find its position. It'll be available in Japan this April for what would be the equivalent of $443 US per month service, which largely limits it to mid and large sized businesses that can easily justify the cost through improved worker health. This just sounds like a sci-fi movie or almost a comedy skit on Saturday Night Live to me. But anyway, whether or not T-Friend is effective remains to be seen. We could see stubborn workers donning noise-canceling headphones or like gun muffs, right? However, it could contribute to a national effort to create more balanced lifestyles. Good luck with that. And it might even be more effective than existing strategies. Right now, overseers at companies frequently find themselves working overtime as they urge staff to avoid those extra hours. Now, that's comical. The drone might let everyone punch out on time. Wow. In the world of drone usage, this one, I just went, wow. It's really funny.
It's definitely a problem unique to Japan, where I think in the U.S., you know, how many times have you met someone? It's, you know, well, heck, even right now, it's 4:00. And Ralph, by the way, we're about to run into our break here in a couple seconds.
Yeah.
But, you know, how many times have you run into the situation where you're at the office, it's Friday, it's 4:30, and someone says, man, I can't wait to get out of here. That is a sentiment that has never been uttered in Japan. It's really that situation that if you're seen not putting in overtime, you are lazy. Like that's
Yeah.
just the way it is. And, you know, if you work your designated hours, you're lazy. So using drones, also a very Japanese way to go, using robots. And I don't know, you're right, this was a very interesting article. But hey, Ralph, the music means we're going to take a break. Everyone out there, stay tuned. We'll be right back. More Computer America. And we'll have a winner coming right up right after this. Everyone, stay tuned.
We are all Brother Wolf. 10 years ago, a group of locals banded together to create positive change. We took animals into our homes, held adoption events at local retailers, and talked to the community about our mission to help build a no-kill Asheville. A decade later, we have achieved so many victories for animals in need. There's been so much progress, yet there's still so much to do. As part of our year-long celebration, we encourage you to become a member of our special Compassionate Circle program. With a monthly donation of $10 or more, you will have behind-the-scenes access to the work we are doing at Brother Wolf. Our goal is to reach 1,000 members because we receive no government funding. Working together, we can help build and sustain no-kill communities. Learn more at compassionatecircle.bwar.org. We are a 501c3 tax-deductible organization.
And welcome back to the Computer America Show. 31 minutes past the hour, and we are talking with Ralph Bond as we are just finishing up. Wow, Ralph, we're making great time. Story number 2 in half an hour. We're doing pretty darn good. So because we're flying right through these, I thought we'd slow ourselves down and, well, we would announce our winner for our contest. Of course, brought to you by Logitech, and we'll be right back with more tech news in just a moment. But before we do that, Ralph, would you mind getting the drums?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Not bad. So, this week's winner, and again, brought to you by Logitech. This week's winner is... Wow, all right, I missed it. Okay, this week's winner is... Yeah, simple crash. There we go. Courtney Y. Courtney Y listens to us in Santa Barbara, California. And yeah, she entered by subscribing to Computer America through YouTube. There's like 7 different ways. She did it through YouTube. Many, many different ways that you can do it, but all social media. And again, Courtney, thank you for listening to Computer America. And we'll have Logitech contact you and send your prize right out to you right after the show. So everyone, if you want to be next week's Courtney, well, all you have to do is go and sign up for our contest. And yeah, hey, you won't regret it. And we could be calling your name live on the air here. So with that being said, we are back at it. We are getting back to science and tech stories. This, of course, hey, with Ralph Bond. And yeah, Ralph, story number 3 looks pretty darn good. So I am more than happy to move on to that one.
All right, here we go. And this one, again, fits in that category of artificial intelligence, which we talked about in the first segment of the show. This one comes from TechCrunch, a story by Daryl Etherington.
You got it.
Hope I said that right. And the headline is Kia and Hyundai cars will include AI assistance starting in 2019, so next year, right? And here's the story. It says vehicles made by Korean car makers Hyundai and Kia will include built-in virtual assistants with AI-powered smarts beginning in 2019, according to Engadget, another publication. The plan to build smart assistants into vehicles will make use of tech created by SoundHound, the music identification company that has recently been focusing more on building AI agent software more akin to things like Siri and Google Assistant. The assistants would be able to do things like suggest destinations based on what's next in your calendar or based on your past preferences and choices. They could also offer remote car and smart home control using voice commands and do Alexa-like stuff, including providing news and weather. The so-called intelligent personal assistant will get its official debut, well, it's already happened, at CES, the Consumer Electronics Show this year, which is coming up in the next few weeks. This story was done in the tail end of December. So again, CES, as we all know, was this week. So it debuted this week in Las Vegas. But it's aiming to begin testing in actual cars on actual roads starting in 2018 with a broad ship window of 2019 as mentioned. And it goes on to say Kia and Hyundai might seem like they're making a future-focused bet on in-car AI here, but it's actually a growing trend and area of focus for automakers. Toyota, Nissan, and Honda have all demonstrated concept versions of car-specific assistance they intend to eventually make available. For instance, and other automakers, including Ford, are working with Amazon. Get this, Ford working with Amazon and others to bring existing virtual assistants to their vehicles too. So I thought that was a fun trend thing for all of us in the world of cars.
It's a situation where, you know, we've been talking about the impending, well, I don't want to say doom, because it's going to be very, very good when automated cars finally get here. But we've been talking about all these different companies. Ralph, I don't know if you caught this, but it was earlier in the week, I think, that do you recall a company called Pioneer?
Oh yeah, sure.
Right, right. Well, they're used to making audio equipment. You know,
Yeah.
they're good. They're known for their audio equipment. They just
Yep.
announced that they're working on, I don't think artificial intelligence, but they're working on self-driving car technology. And
Interesting.
you know, even though they're a speaker company, they feel that if they get the self-driving technology put in, and they are the ones put into cars, they also get to be the ones that put in the entertainment systems that then get to entertain people while they're not driving. So you
Oh
can see
yeah.
where companies, you know, even though they are not automakers, even though they are not, you know, strictly related to self-driving cars, there's a lot of decisions to make. And, you know, a lot of companies tangentially are working on self-driving cars. It's, you know, the amount of money pouring into the research is amazing.
Oh yeah, and you know when you mentioned, you're so right. When you mentioned Pioneer, and of course Pioneer's heritage for most of us is in the area of receivers for home theaters, all that kind of good stuff. Like their elite line of receivers, very well thought of.
Right.
And as you were speaking, I was thinking, oh, you know what I would love in my home theater? I would love to be able, I know you can use your smartphone and tablet with modern receivers to do controls, and you can do certain functions and settings, and that's great. That's a
Hmm.
good, that's a step forward. But wait a minute, I would love to be able to say, I don't know, elite, mute now, or elite, I'm going to be watching a football game, and have it automatically change the settings or whatever to be appropriate for that
Yeah.
activity I'm doing, or bring the center speaker, you know, lower the center speaker, or just vocally command, just like we've become so accustomed with our Alexa and Google Home like experiences, where we can just say Google or Hey Google or Alexa, and all this sort of thing would be so nice to have that with home theater equipment and
It's
projectors and so forth.
it's quickly becoming a situation where, maybe not with self-driving tech, but if you're not working with AI, if you're not working, you know, in something, you know, in a voice assistant, or being able
Yeah.
to do one of these things, you're quickly finding yourself not, you know, not innovating, because that's where the innovation seems to be leading, is controlling things by naturally talking to them. So
Yeah.
I think you're right, and I think Pioneer, you know, we don't know what they're going on inside the company, but I would not be surprised one bit if they were doing exactly what you were just talking about.
Yeah, I think it'd be a wonderful augmentation to their tablet. And they're not alone. Lots of manufacturers of stereo equipment have the ability for your smartphone to have an app, or your tablet to have an app to do all kinds of wonderful controls, which was a heck of a lot easier than taking the old-fashioned remote control and click, click, down, right, click, click, click,
You know,
select, you know, that
and
craziness.
and I'm not, well, I'm not even not supposed to, but that was Craig's big beef, was that he always said that, what I said, I would love to voice control my television, and Craig was like,
Hmm.
what? Why would you ever do that? You know, it's so much easier by just, you know, punching in the numbers on a remote. And I'm like, well, you don't say, you know, volume down, volume down, volume down, volume down. You would just say naturally lower the volume, and it would lower to, you know, by 15, you know, digits, or change it to the football game, to your point, and it would automatically go to, you know, your preferred settings.
Yeah.
Like, being able to naturally talk to technology is something that we're starting to take for granted thanks to Alexa and what happened Google Home.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's the next step.
That
It's the next
actually
step.
that brings up a point for you and me. We can say, hey, a trend for this year is more and more and more of naturally speaking, voice control, voice interaction with
Yeah.
all of our technology. I think that's inevitably
Absolutely.
going to be a big thing.
Absolutely. So, but again, pie in the sky thinking, that's what we like to do here. But we also like to keep the show moving. And story number 4.
Yes, yes, this one's really fun. I love this. From Digital Trends, a story by Luke Dormo. And the title of the story, right away, you got to love this. A stretchable battery powered by sweat could revolutionize wearables. What's not to like about that headline, right?
Well,
So I
who's sweat?
ran, not walked to that story.
Do you have to like borrow sweat? Is it your sweat? Is it like you have to get something to rub up against? Ew. Go ahead.
It's going to be yours, buddy. It'll be personal.
Okay, that's good.
So the story says whether it's AA batteries that go into TV remotes or the lithium ion batteries found in smartphones, you probably have a pretty definite image that springs to mind when someone mentions battery. Sure, that could soon change, however, based on research coming out of Binghamton University in New York, where scientists have developed a stretchy, textile-based, bacteria-powered bio battery. Say that again. Bacteria-powered bio battery that could one day be used to power wearable devices. Now, this is on the edge, folks. This is science trend, okay? So we're not saying it's here today and all this good stuff, but wow, this is fun. It says, in demonstrations, the battery was shown to be able to exhibit stable electricity generating capabilities even after repeated stretching and twisting cycles. The breakthrough technology was developed by a team led by Professor Sokyun Choi. I hope I'm saying that right. If that name sounds familiar, it's because Choi has previously been responsible for some innovative new battery technology, such as a paper-like microbial fuel cell. Gotta love that. Paper-like microbial fuel cell designed to produce electricity when activated by saliva.
What is up with this guy? This guy's like, I have all these fluids coming out of me. I got to make electricity out of this. This is ew.
Yeah, he's kind of into fluids.
All right.
Anyway, here's a quote. It says, all my previous experiences and technologies on paper-based bio batteries have been leveraged to develop for the first time an entirely textile-based bio battery, Choi told Digital Trends. The device generated a maximum power of 6.4 microwatts per centimeter and current density of 52 microampere per square centimeter, which are similar to other flexible paper-based microbial fuel cells, he says. If you're wondering what bacteria-powered means in this context, the answer is that the battery could be powered by natural body secretions, most obviously our sweat. That would make it perfect for a lycra-type material that could be employed to make sportswear or other types of smart clothing. While it probably won't be rivaling your iPhone in terms of sheer battery power anytime soon, and that's the important point. This is, frontier stuff. It might open the way for wearables that would be able to gather sensor data from your body and then transmit it to a separate device. For example, a t-shirt which could monitor your workouts on a pair of socks able to track your steps, and the author says, yes, please. Right. If you hear that rattling, it's my dog. Just decided to join us. Her shaking her body, scratching her bed, and I'm trying to get her to stop.
No problem, no problem.
Oh, well, so at least you know what's going on. Choi said that the team is currently working to improve the power in current generation for practical applications, but it will take more time for the commercial products, he noted. A paper describing the work titled Flexible and Stretchable Bio Batteries, Monolithic Integration of Membrane-Free Microbial Fuel Cells in a Single Textile Layer, Gotta love that title. Was recently published in the Journal of Advanced Energy Materials. So again, if you're interested in this, and it is a fun topic, go out and check out the article through the show notes and look at that paper. If you're a super geek, this might be a fun read for you.
Yeah, this seems like the kind of technology that we talk about all the time about putting sensors into everything. And I don't know, maybe it's because earlier you mentioned the football game, but I automatically take this to football players, because there's a lot of talk and controversy about concussions and things like this. I mean, if your clothing could at any moment detect not just that it's had an impact, because of course it is football, but at how severe and the change in direction that you were going previously, just having, gyroscopes in them or something like that, that's found in every single cell phone. Maybe it would be better information to say that, the fact that he changed direction with this amount of force so suddenly, there's an X% chance that he may have suffered a minor concussion, a concussion. And again, just being able to have that rest against your skin and not be bulky or, have something damaged. Very, very cool.
Yeah, the combination of, as you point out, a combination of, in this case, sweat-powered flexible textile batteries, very sheer, combined with sensors. That's an interesting prospect. That could have military applications too,
Absolutely.
of course, and many possible applications along those lines. You're right. It's combining that. That's the kind of thinking that is always so fun when you watch technology. Somebody comes up with an idea of a flexible textile, sweat inducing, or not sweat inducing, but a sweat generation of electricity. And then what do you do with it? What do you do with that electricity? Right. And then you're adding that what you do with it thing. And that's the kind of fun thing that leads to really breakthrough ideas. Yeah, that's cool.
And then it's just us, talking about it. And then, it's out on the market for a couple of years and someone else goes, well, what if? And then then a brand new market pops up because someone else did something completely new. So very cool. So let's see. Let's go with story number 5. And story number 5, I want to talk to you about another article I found the other day, but
cool.
it ties in related to this. I'll let you do this one, and then I'll bring up the other one. But this one's I usually say the word exciting. This one is scary.
Yeah, this one's real interesting. It goes beyond entertainment and movies, but we're jumping ahead a little bit here. The story comes from Tech Radar. A story by Patrick Goss, Goss. The title of the story is "When Will CGI Humans Actually Fool Us?" And the rest of the title is "Effects Icon Dennis Muren Sets the Date." And so it's kind of an interesting thing, and you're going to learn about Dennis here. It says, if you're holding out for a time when you absolutely cannot tell the difference between a CGI human in a film and an actor, special effects guru Dennis Muren, that's spelled M-U-R-E-N, by the way, believes you won't have to wait too long, or will not have a long wait, I should say. Right. Tech Radar caught up with Muren, the legendary figure behind some of the most memorable effects in films, to mark Terminator 2's release in December, which has already happened, on 4K Blu-ray and 3D Blu-ray discs. So in other words, they were interviewing him on the release of Terminator 2 because he did the special effects for Terminator 2, the iconic film, right, with the bad Terminator that's the liquid metal guy, remember that? And he was responsible, and which at the time was it was so unreal to go to that movie in that day and time and see those special effects.
So futuristic, and it was years ago. Yeah.
It was absolutely still, even today, you watch that film, and I did not 6 months ago, I saw it again, and I'm still going, this is amazing. And we live in a super CGI rich world. But anyway, I digress. Going on with the story, it says Muren, who still finds the effects he did for Steven Spielberg and James Cameron's hits more interesting, thinks it's only a matter of time before the industry cracks its thorniest issue, again, creating CGI humans indistinguishable from other humans, right? Or from real humans. Although mainstream films are increasingly using CGI to resurrect movie stars or make them look younger, think Carrie Fisher and Peter Cushing in Rogue One, Jeff Bridges in Tron, Legacy, and Arnie in Terminal Resurrection, et cetera, et cetera. Audiences are quick to criticize the efforts and the eeriness of the results. Experts call this the, quote, uncanny valley, close quote, effect, with people attuned to picking up and incredible level of nuance in the human face. But Hollywood is working hard to fix it, and Murin thinks they are getting close. He says there's a quote, people are working on it all the time. There may be a show or a movie out next year that's going to do that, or maybe not. You just don't know because it's so hard to do it, he tells us. And he goes on with another quote. It says, it's not only the look, but the performance, he explains. It's got to act like a real person. So it's extremely difficult. We're doing some shows trying it and other people too. So it seems to be what a lot of people consider to be the holy grail. And this again, were all quotes from Murin. Murin's work on landmark effects like the Jurassic Park dinosaurs and the groundbreaking computer work on the T-1000 in James Cameron's Terminator 2 remain iconic movie moments. And he admits that creating a CGI human perfectly is not front and center in his own ambitions. Another quote, I'm not, to be honest, terribly interested in that. I think what Jim did with the T2 and Steven with Jurassic, I'm much more interested in stuff like that. That's the stuff that's fun. It doesn't have to be real. It has to be imaginative. Murin is gracious enough to give us his best guess as to when we will get an indistinguishable CGI human, although he jokingly asks us not to hold him to it. And he says, quote, everyone says 3 to 4 years, so that's what we'll go with, close quote. We've set a date of 2021 return call in our calendars. So maybe 2021, we'll see. But it is an interesting thing. It's one thing about entertainment. It gets to be another thing. You want to talk about scary. What if you had video calls from an entity that, to your mind, you have no way of distinguishing as not a real human?
Well,
can you imagine how weird that would be?
Yeah, I mean, that was an article that I did, just a couple days ago, was that, to his point, he's talking about CGI with visual effects. We were discussing an article that scientists were able to essentially manipulate audio, where you could take a recording and you could manipulate it, but it was more than that, where AI, of course, helped. But you could essentially take an audio recording and you could change the words, and the AI would go about changing tone, inflection, pacing, things like that, where you could have a recording of, let's say, I don't know, a presidential address or some CEO, and you could edit that, and it's deeper than just finding someone who sounds just like them and recording over it. It actually tries to mimic exactly what they're doing on a very almost subconscious level. And yeah, they're saying that they're pretty darn close to, if not already there, able to Photoshop essentially audio. And you're not going to be able to, just like ever since Photoshop was created, you've always had to look at pictures and go, well, maybe that was photoshopped. We're quickly heading into a day and age where you have to listen to radio or watch a video, and you're going to have to go, maybe that audio file was photoshopped, maybe that video file was photoshopped. Well, I use the term Photoshop, but edited, doctored, what have you.
Yeah.
We're quickly heading into that, and I can see where Hollywood, if let's hope it's not for decades to come, but when a famous actor, maybe Morgan Freeman, stops acting, what if he signs a contract that says that Hollywood gets to use his likeness, his voice, his acting, his mannerisms, and turns out that Morgan Freeman is going to be doing movies for the next 100 years because hey, they get to use his likeness, things like that.
Yeah, no, that's and not limited to entertainment and actors. What if political figures? What if other folks, other prominent people could go on have an eternal life through
I was
through
thinking,
this simulation.
I was thinking that how relaxing would it be if you call up tech support in, for your, for your internet provider, and how they have like the robot person trying to help you with your internet. What if that was Eddie Murphy, and it sounds just like Eddie Murphy, spoke natural English like Eddie Murphy? Yeah, yeah, I joke, but the point is that you can, those robo voices you're hearing, they're only going to stay robotic for so long, and nothing says, kind of like Alexa or Siri or what have you, they
Right.
don't have to stay ambiguous. They could actually
Yeah.
be people.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's much to think about in terms of the science and technology trend bag, to think about this whole subject of simulating well, to the point where you cannot distinguish either the audio or the visual or both combined. I mean, that's just too weird. It's could be very bad and very great and probably all of the above at one time.
All right, so Ralph, I'm going to ask you to skip down to story number 9. And
Yeah,
we're
let's do that.
and we're not going to get through all of it, but I think it'll be a fun, kind of interesting and informative way to end the show with story number 9. So again,
Yes,
this is
yeah.
probably going to carry us out, but please go ahead and start.
Yeah, this is a fun one. And again, friends, go back to the show notes. It's like your homework assignment. What we didn't get a chance to cover today live on the show, you get a chance to go and read and check out and have fun. Story number 9, 25 oldest things in the world. This was just so much fun. By John Harrington. It was posted on MSN. And I just thought this was really fun, and I kind of copy pasted parts of it. But we'll go through a few of these, and again, you can go back and check this out for yourself. So one is in the category of recording, and the oldest recording, Edouard Leon Scott de Martinville, and it's the Clair de Lune, the famous classical music piece. And get a little of this recording, 1860, folks. Done in Paris, France. Many people believe Thomas Edison invented recorded sound, but it appears that a French inventor named Edouard Leon Scott made a breakthrough several years earlier. Scott patented his phonograph in 1857. It is believed that Scott himself sang a part of the French song "Au Clair de Lune." Oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting mixed up between the WC piece and this. So "Au Clair de Lune" into his machine in 1860, creating the first known musical recordings. Scott's phonograph and recordings weren't discovered by historians until 2007. How did that happen?
They
But
must
isn't
have
that
been
interesting?
super. Yeah, they must have been super excited, to find it
Oh gosh,
150 years later. That's cool.
yeah. It's not so great for Edison, but great for the French. Well, that's like
Absolutely.
that ongoing, never-ending debate about who really did fixed-wing, heavier than air flight first, right? I mean, that's this thing that's been going around in circles about Wright brothers versus the Russians versus whatever, on and on and on. But here's another one. An oldest photograph. This is fun. Joseph, and I'll butcher this, I'm sure. Necrophore Nepes, view from a window at Le Gras. Approximate date 1826, maybe 1827. Location in France. And it says, though it's not as clear as the photographs we see today, Joseph Necrophore Nepes's view from a window in Le Gras was an astonishing development in technology, likely taken in 1826 or 1827. The photo shows Nepes's estate in Burgundy, France. Nepes actually captured another image in 1822, but his heliograph of an engraving of Pope Pius the 5, 6, 7th was destroyed when he tried to copy it years later. But that's just too bizarre to think about a photograph going back to 1826. And again, it is very granular, it's very fudgy, but just the idea that you could do this at that time is pretty amazing.
To put it into a little bit more context, this is only 20 years after the Holy Roman Empire had fallen. So you got the end of the Holy Roman Empire to 20 years later, your first photograph.
Yeah, cool. And that's something. I don't know if we have time to. We may not have time to go into the next one, but we've got the oldest globe. No, maybe I'll just give you a quick brush.
Right.
The oldest globe. Next one is the oldest university. That happens to be in Morocco. That's kind of fun. And let's see what else we got. Oldest restaurant. That's kind of fun. Begun in 803 AD in Austria. What?
and they
Gotta
still
check it
haven't
out.
figured out the lunch specials. So with that being said, Ralph Bond, everyone, he is our science and tech trends correspondent. Ralph, I want to thank you so much. And if people want to find out more about you and what you're up to, and of course you are enjoying the retired life with some freelance work on the side, as I understand it, and of course you'll be back here later on next month. So everyone, be sure to tune in. Let's see if I get that date right. Hopefully you'll be here second Friday of the month, February 9th in February. So yeah, Ralph, until next time, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, and everyone else out there, thank you for tuning in. And I know we've been getting recently lots and lots of new listeners. I want to thank you all so much. I hope that you can start off the year with Computer America, and hey, you'll continue throughout the year with Computer America. Be sure to tune in. Oh, by the way, everyone, wow, I should have been mentioning this for a while. No show next Monday, Martin Luther King Day. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and we will not be having a show, but Tuesday, we will have Shure Inc. They make microphones and audio recording equipment. A lot of fun, everyone. Tune in next time, Tuesday, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern. Everyone, have a great day. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.